If you're over 40 and you haven't touched AI yet, you're not behind, but you're soon going to be. See, there's a lot of fear and skepticism when it comes to AI, thinking, well, it's just a fad. This is going to pass us by, just like, the dot-com bubble when it burst. And there's really nothing major about this. It's not as fundamental of a shift as you think it is. And if that's how you feel about AI, I'm sad to say you're wrong. All you have to do is look at the millions and millions of dollars that companies are spending now just to try to be able to keep up with AI in the current day and future proofing their industries. Not only is it like an insurance or the financial systems, there's so much going on with AI right now that you have to be aware and you have to be plugged in at some level, or else you are going to completely be left behind, left in the dust, and you're going to become a dinosaur even before you're in your 50s. So by the end of this video, you will understand why this matters to you. And it's not as scary as you think. And here's some things you're going to be able to do about it. So my name is John. Welcome. I am part of the AI over 40 group, and I like to help people over 40 learn how to utilize and really thrive in the world of AI. So the funny thing about AI is it's not just for coders or tech bros or 25-year-olds. Adults over 40 actually have a massive advantage because they have life experience and wisdom and real world context that the younger generations just don't have. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a 7 reason structure why you need to know what's coming so that you can be prepared and then what you could do about it. So if that sounds like something you want to jump into, definitely hang tight because we're going to get started right now with reason number one. Your job isn't safe, but your career could be. The workplace is shifting incredibly fast. AI is replacing tasks. It's not necessarily replacing jobs. I've often said that, if you don't play with AI, if you're not comfortable with AI, if you're not in that world, you know, somebody is not going to be replaced by AI, but somebody who doesn't know AI will replace you. And that's very true. Companies are actively looking for employees who can work alongside of AI, not necessarily just complete AI only people, but people who know how to utilize this tool. And I've said this before, AI is just a tool. It's no different than, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, being able to use a computer or being able to understand the concept of emails or websites or anything that we do nowadays, even like social media. People who are using social media to grow their businesses, there's strategies to it. It's not just posting what you ate for lunch anymore. It's completely different. You don't need to be building AI. You don't need to be able to get into all these different things you've probably heard, like Claude Code or any of those places. But what you need to be able to do is use AI, and there's a complete difference there. You can use AI, but you don't necessarily have to thrive and do all the crazy things that a lot of people are doing with AI. All right. Real world example for you is there's a 52-year-old marketing manager who just learned the basics about ChatGPT. And because they did that, they became the most important, most valuable person in their department because they took the time to learn a very simple skill, and ChatGPT is just one of the many models out there that you could use. But they took the time to learn that skill strong enough to where when they took it into their office, it was setting themselves so far up and above where everybody else was. They were looked at like a guru. And I'm sure that person is probably in a very comfortable position to where they don't necessarily have to worry about being fired, but they can use the skills that they've developed to keep their job. You have a secret weapon that young people don't, and it makes AI unstoppable. The tool is only as if you're over 40 and you haven't touched AI yet, you're not behind, but you're soon going to be. See, there's a lot of fear and skepticism when it comes to AI, thinking, well, it's just a fad. This is going to pass us by, just like, the dot-com bubble when it burst. And there's really nothing major about this. It's not as fundamental of a shift as you think it is. And if that's how you feel about AI, I'm sad to say you're wrong. All you have to do is look at the millions and millions of dollars that companies are spending now just to try to be able to keep up with AI in the current day and future proofing their industries. Not only is it like an insurance or the financial systems, there's so much going on with AI right now that you have to be aware and you have to be plugged in at some level, or else you are going to completely be left behind, left in the dust, and you're going to become a dinosaur even before you're in your 50s. So by the end of this video, you will understand why this matters to you. And it's not as scary as you think. And here's some things you're going to be able to do about it. So my name is John. Welcome. I am part of the AI over 40 group, and I like to help people over 40 learn how to utilize and really thrive in the world of AI. So the funny thing about AI is it's not just for coders or tech bros or 25-year-olds. Adults over 40 actually have a massive advantage because they have life experience and wisdom and real world context that the younger generations just don't have. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a 7 reason structure why you need to know what's coming so that you can be prepared and then what you can do about it. So, if that sounds like something you want to jump into, definitely hang tight because we're going to get started right now with reason number one. Your job isn't safe, but your career could be. The workplace is shifting incredibly fast. AI is replacing tasks. It's not necessarily replacing jobs. I've often said that, if you don't play with AI, if you're not comfortable with AI, if you're not in that world, you know, somebody is not going to be replaced by AI, but somebody who doesn't know AI will replace you. And that's very true. Companies are actively looking for employees who can work alongside of AI, not necessarily just complete AI only people, but people who know how to utilize this tool. And I've said this before, AI is just a tool. It's no different than, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, being able to use a computer or being able to understand the concept of emails or websites or anything that we do nowadays, even like social media. People who are using social media to grow their businesses, there's strategies to it. It's not just posting what you ate for lunch anymore. It's completely different. You don't need to be building AI. You don't need to be able to get into all these different things you've probably heard, like Claude Code or any of those places. But what you need to be able to do is use AI, and there's a complete difference there. You can use AI, but you don't necessarily have to thrive and do all the crazy things that a lot of people are doing with AI. All right. Real world example for you is there's a 52-year-old marketing manager who just learned the basics about ChatGPT. And because they did that, they became the most important, most valuable person in their department because they took the time to learn a very simple skill, and ChatGPT is just one of the many models out there that you could use. But they took the time to learn that skill strong enough to where when they took it into their office, it was setting themselves so far up and above where everybody else was. They were looked at like a guru. And I'm sure that person is probably in a very comfortable position to where they don't necessarily have to worry about being fired, but they can use the skills that they've developed to keep their job good as a person using it. Like I could take a hammer and drive in some nails if I want to hang pictures or something, but like my dad who's in construction could take a hammer and build a house, build anything. because he's got the skills. He understands the concepts behind what it takes to be able to use that hammer and all the other tools to do what he wants to do. And AI is the exact same way. You could take AI, just a very general knowledge of AI, and use it across many platforms and do incredible things with it just because you're able to do the one thing that a lot of younger people are struggling with, and that's communicate. Communicating with AI is the secret. Decades of experience will equal better prompts. Better prompts equals better results. And those results of better prompts come from better judgment, better communication, because you are used to training up people, or you're used to having, people who work with you or work for you that you're having to train and show how to do their job in step-by-step basis. You understand the concepts of being able to tell, an AI tool from step one to step two to step three, this is what you want, this is the finished product, and let's work our way backwards. And then you can put that into a chat GPT or a perplexity or a copilot, and you can get the result you want much faster than someone who has no idea how to utilize those tools. Younger people often use their speed of accessibility and their speed of being built into these systems because they've lived and grown up with screens in their hands, but they have a lack of critical thinking, and they're not using AI in the way that we would. And I think the way that we would use it is better because we understand the concepts. We understand the idea of instructing something that doesn't know how to do something, and then teaching it step by step on how to not only perform the task, but to get better at it with every new iteration. You're not starting from zero like a lot of these younger people are. You're starting from 30, 40, even 50 years ahead of being out and about in the real world. And so that translates to better prompts, and better prompts results in better results. And that is what all of us are hoping for when using AI. So, reason number three, there's a gold rush happening, and it's happening right now. And most people our age don't even know about it, which is incredibly sad because there's such a renaissance of AI going on that people are either scared of it, or are overwhelmed by it, or they don't want to touch it. They don't want to have anything to do with it. So when it comes to utilizing AI to try to make money, because they don't spend any time with it, they're not aware of what's going on around them. Freelance income streams using AI, writing, design, consulting, tutoring, even setting up coaching frameworks. All of that stuff can be done using AI, and all of that stuff is valuable, and all of those things can be marketed and sold. Boomers and Gen Xers are underrepresented in the AI community, creator economy, and that's the sad truth. I mean, when I watch YouTube videos, because I spend a lot of time watching YouTube and TikTok videos, a majority of the people that I'm seeing utilizing these skills and teaching these skills to other people are probably easily under 30. And the people that I see who are over 40 are people like me who are just nerds, and they're trying to communicate a skill set to people who aren't, appreciating it, because if you're younger, you're probably already doing some of these things. And if you're older, I think until you get more comfortable with it, you need to have a basic idea of the tool, and a better idea on how to use it. And I think there's too many of us out there who are in this weird gap because we're not being served, because there's not enough people like me who are older who are trying to help people like me get better at this skill. There's a whole thing nowadays about side hustles, and no matter how much money we make, we always want to try to figure out a way that we can, pay for another car, or, you know, pay the rent down in our houses, or maybe figure out how to take those great trips. And a side hustle seems like a great idea. Building AI assisted businesses lowers our overhead and lowers the workload, and it makes the cost of entry extremely low. The funny thing is, you can literally start a business with nothing and you can build it over time as long as you have basic marketing skills and you have the ability to be consistent. I think that starting a side hustle and incorporating AI to help you with scripting or creating posts or creating images, utilizing the tools that are out there for free, can help you build a business much faster than people who've done it in the past. You've got great tools out there. ChatGPT, although it's not as great as it used to be, ChatGPT is great for brainstorming. Um, Canva and Midjourney are great for image and video creation. Uh, I use Notion a little bit, but I don't use Notion AI. I mainly use Perplexity, Claude, and Notebook LM, which I'll do a video on Notebook LM later. It's pretty outstanding, but they're all fairly beginner friendly. And if you don't know how to use a tool, but you know that that tool can help you get where you want to go, then I can almost guarantee that there's at least one or 100 different YouTube videos out there that you can use to get smarter on it. So here's reason number 4. What if you could get 2 hours of your day back every single day? Now just think about that for a second. 2 hours of your day every single day. So by the end of your 40-hour work week, you've really only put in 30 hours and you've got 10 hours that you can focus on something else. At 40 plus, time feels more valuable than ever. And that's the God's honest truth. And I'm in my 50s, and that's why I'm uh, trying to build a couple different businesses, because I know that I could put some energy in on the front end. As I get older, that energy is going to dissipate. And I know that people in their 40s are starting to look back on their careers and go, well, maybe I don't have enough to retire. And there needs to be something that changes. And so I think AI could be a huge help with that. AI can handle emails and scheduling and research and content creation, meal planning, and so much more. There's so many tools out there, and each tool has some specific, idiosyncrasies that you can use to your advantage. Um, it's not just for work, it's really about life. There's that productivity that we all want in our 9 to 5 jobs, but there's so many things that you can do just with like a simple AI tool. Like nowadays, you could take a picture of what's in your refrigerator and an AI tool could kick back, well, here's, 3 or 4 ideas for what you could make for dinner, and here's the recipes. And that's astonishing. Just think about where we were 5, 10 years ago. It was amazing that we could order pre-made meals and have them delivered, so we can have a week's worth of meals in our refrigerator. Now, whatever's in the refrigerator, we can just take a picture of it and have those meals custom made for us for what we have at our disposal. And the I used a hang on, blah, 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 blah. I used AI to do. Oh, okay. So from my own personal life, one of the things that I like to do is create social media content, and I would spend hours trying to craft the right post, and I would spend so much time trying to write it and then rewrite it and then second guess myself. And now, because I've gone into Gemini, which is owned by Google, and I've given it all the parameters of what my business is, and I've given it my writing style, I've given it my tone for how I speak, and all the things that I would normally do to coach an assistant to do it. I can offload some of that on the AI and then just tell the AI, this is what I want. I want this type of post focusing on this subject. I want it to hit these points, and then I want it to be in this style, and then move forward from there. And it usually creates it. And then at the end of that, I would say, give me 3 image prompt ideas. Um, and let me paste that into an image creator, and see what that looks like. And that would take me like 10 minutes. well, when it used to take me forever to do social media posts. That's just one example of how you can use it in your business. Because I know there's a lot of people who are creating company newsletters, or they're doing research tasks, or they're doing some financial things that I have no idea about. But you could do financial, research within an AI that can answer questions that you might have missed. It's incredible what's out there. You just have to learn the tool. And I will go ahead now and say the obligatory, please never put your personal information in. Don't share your credit card or social security number or anything intimate like that. Certainly don't put any of your clients' information in, because that could lead to some bad things happening. Just trust me on that. All right, so number five, AI could literally add years to your life. And here's how we're going to do it. AI tools have gotten so good with, like, the Apple Watches and the Garmin's and the Google Watches and all the things, that it's tracking every little thing about our lives. And we could dump all that information into an AI, and it could tell us, how we're eating, how we're sleeping. It could give us nutrition planning. It could give us mental health ideas for journaling, and could even do medical research, which I'm a little leery of doing that. But if you have something that you're trying to look into, and you're trying to find out what the benefits and the negatives are, you could do that through Perplexity. Don't make any major medical decisions until you talk to your doctor, of course. But those AIs exist for a reason. It also helps you navigate complex healthcare decisions, as AI could be your research partner. There's been times when I have taken reports that I've been given from my doctor, especially when it comes to blood work, and I've just fed that report into um, an AI, Chat GPT, Perplexity, and I said, "This was my most recent blood test. Give me the main takeaways from this." Or I came up with a really good prompt, and it kicked back out, says, "These numbers are good. These numbers are good. You might want to watch your this. You might want to watch your that. Talk to your doctor about these three or four things, because the numbers are kind of too high or too low." Had I had that a few years ago, maybe I wouldn't have been in this state that I was in a couple of years ago, when I had to go to the hospital for a few days. So all of these things can be done as a tool that can help you live longer with AI. It can also help you stay mentally sharp. Learning new tech, learning new things has proven to be something that supports cognitive longevity. If you spent 1 week learning just one tool, and then take what you learned on that tool, and then you go over to, like, from ChatGPT, you spend a week working on ChatGPT, and then you take everything you've learned working on ChatGPT, and then you want to go over to Perplexity and learn everything that you can about Perplexity, and then go over to Gemini and learn what you can about Gemini, and then take a week and do Claude. You spent a month learning four of the top AI models, and think about how much you will have learned in that time. I mean, it's amazing when you stop to think about it. So, when you're looking at reasons that you should play with AI, the main thing is you might be able to live a little bit longer. Not only is it going to help you financially, not only is it going to help you with your job, it could also help you physically. Number six, your kids are already living in that world, so you don't want to get left behind in theirs. AI fluency is becoming basic literacy. We used to talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now it's reading, writing, arithmetic, and AI. Uh, it's just a basic literacy tool, like learning how to use a computer or a smartphone. It's one of those things, like, if you have no experience in it, you're already behind. You got to catch up. I'm not saying it's hard to catch up, but I'd catch up starting as soon as possible, so that you don't get left too far behind, because every day there's more and more changes in the AI world. You want to understand that the world your children, your grandchildren are living in. And the best way to do that is to become very, just have a basic understanding of AI tools. You're not going to be able to probably converse with them at length about it. But what if they're spending all their time on ChatGPT and you're starting to learn Perplexity or Claude and you're able to do things better and faster than them because you picked a different AI tool that's got a better set of skills than ChatGPT? It's possible. It's something that you should really look into. Being able to be uh, in the moment with your kids or grandkids and have informed conversations about AI, maybe helping them with schoolwork, or having questions from their jobs, or you know, using AI to show some of the risks of whatever thing that they're doing. Um, that's something that I think a person that is in a situation where they went from zero literacy to AI to having some functional literacy would love to be able to do. Because let's say a person starts a new job and they have all this list of things that they're supposed to be doing, you could feed that into AI and you could feed some generic information like this is the company, this is the position, this is their pay, and these are the job requirements, and find out if that position is underpaid or overpaid, probably not overpaid, but underpaid, or what other risks might be involved in this that your kids might not be seeing because all they're seeing is the dollar signs of the paycheck. So that's something that I think would be a huge value to someone in their 40s with kids or grandkids. And then, you can have a generational bridge moment, meaning you get the opportunity to connect, to show your kids or grandkids that you're not the old fuddy-duddy who just, sits in the corner and uses the iPad just to read magazines on the computer or play the New York Times crossword puzzle, which there's nothing wrong with that. I do that. But the point is we are perceived because we're older to be a certain way. And I think that younger generations would get a lot more understanding of who we are if we take the step and try to understand a little bit more about the world they live in and who they are. Let me know what you think in the comments. I could be completely off base on that. And then the final reason is, the window's open right now, but it won't be open forever. And I want to give you a I want to give you a real world example of something that happened in the last couple of months. There is a program, an AI model called Claude. You might have heard of it. And they came up with a really amazing piece of downloadable free AI technology called OpenClaw. OpenClaw was meant to be something that you put on a standalone computer. That's why if you try to buy, like, as I record this in the early part of 2026, if you went out to try to buy like an Apple Mac Mini M4, you couldn't get them. I ordered one a few weeks ago, and I had to wait for like 2 weeks to get it. Uh, Anytime I've ever ordered anything from Apple, I had it within 7 to 10 days. I had to wait like 2.5 weeks to get this because they just didn't have the inventory because everybody was going out because the Mac Mini was the cheapest, fastest, most sensible machine to purchase to put this open claw system on. And one of the horror stories that I heard was, well, let me tell you the plus before I tell you the horror story. This would be better. Um, OpenClaw could literally do anything you wanted it to do in the sense that you would give it all these tasks like check my email, look at my appointments, give me, a summary of where I need to be, when I need to be there, find ways to, get me more clients, go out and scrape the internet and try to find as many clients that I could email, help me craft the perfect email, send it, send the follow-up emails, book, online talks with the people, basically run my business for me. And there's a couple specific things that people gave this open claw access to their credit card because there were times when they needed to purchase a membership or they needed to re-up on certain subscriptions, and they just let OpenClaw do it. Well, from the story that I heard, and don't quote me on this, the OpenClaw found a piece of software that would help it become to be more um, productive, let's say, and decided this is something that we need to get. So we went and spent the money and got it. So like it was like $1,000 or $2,000. And so the guy woke up and he's checking his, basically OpenClaw would send you a message like in your email, and he's checking through his email, and it's like saw a receipt for like $1,000 and was like, wait, what is this? And then he went back in and looked in the logs in his OpenClaw and realized that this machine had made a decision for him and spent this money. I think that has been fixed, I hope. But OpenClaw was the rage. Everybody was getting it. There were tons of videos like how to make OpenClaw work for you, how to put it on a Mac Mini or whatever computer you wanted. All these little subgenre of tech gurus came out of the woodwork with OpenClaw things because it was the hot new thing. And then it disappeared. Like OpenClaw is still around, but then they came out with Claude Cowork and Claude Code, and everybody shifted to that. So when I say that the window is not always going to be open, there will come a day when the AI is probably going to move beyond what you can grasp right now. If you don't have a functional working literacy of the tool or tools, you're not going to be able to catch up fast enough because the AI world is moving at such a crazy rate that there's going to be a day where it's going to be impossible to, jump in and pick up and start moving forward. You'll always be able to, hit ChatGPT up and have it write an email for you. But I don't think you're going to be able to, jump in and start doing high level thinking with your AI because the AI is going to be way smarter than you think it is. So AI is still early enough now to where it's manageable. But in 2 years, 3 years, the gap will be incredibly larger. The speed at which it's moving right now is just going to be magnified over each year. The learning curve is getting lower than people think with no coding required. But the problem is there's so much going on that it's almost impossible to figure out how to start. And if you've got everything available at your fingertips, it's hard to know where to jump in. And if you're feeling that now, I've got some ideas that can help you. Just kind of stick with me. The learning curve is genuinely low, but that learning curve is going to start spiking and trending upwards. It's it's an inevitability. It's going to be something that it's not going to be like computers, which the learning curve was high and then it came down. It's the opposite. Right now, it's easy to get involved because it's just prompts. But once you start getting into automations and some of the things that I'm just starting to kind of dabble with, you could be in serious trouble if you're not careful. Millions of non-technical adults are learning this right now, and they're learning it together. Not only are they learning it together by watching YouTube videos or, on social media platforms, they're also forming communities. I have one that I would love to see you join, which is AIover40.net. It's a group of people just like you who are trying to figure this out. And that's what we do. We spend time trying to sort out the hows and how to's, and we spend a lot of time really kind of drilling down and figuring it out. So the reality of the situation when it comes to AI is the best time to start was a year ago, but the second best time to start is right now, today, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Start now. Um, so let me go over these again really quick. Number one, your job isn't safe, but your career can be. You have a secret weapon that younger people don't, and AI makes it unstoppable. The gold rush is happening right now, but most people my age, your age, don't even know it exists. and you have the ability to get 2 hours of your day back every single day, and it could literally add years to your life. Your kids are already living in that world, and you don't want to be behind in their world. And the wide open window is here, but it's closing and shrinking even as we speak. So the first step is this: start with one tool, and the tools that I always recommend are free to start. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Cowork, I mean, Copilot, and um, Gemini. I would suggest this. I would start with ChatGPT. It's it's the simplest one. Um, and then spend 1 week, 7 days in ChatGPT. Watch a couple of YouTube videos, ask me questions in the comments, watch some of my videos, and you know, get a feel for what ChatGPT does and what it can and cannot do. Because there's a lot of things that it can do, but there's even more things that it cannot do. And always, always, always be careful of what information you give out. Okay. Um, Once you get done with that week, then pick another AI tool. So take what you learned on ChatGPT and jump into Perplexity or Gemini, and then do this every week. Just pick one tool and play with it. And what you're going to find is all the tools are really very similar. Once you get over the hump of starting, you're going to find that, oh, ChatGPT looks and acts a lot like Perplexity, and they all kind of they act a lot like Gemini. So they're all very similar. They even all look very similar. But there's just some subtle nuances between them that make it challenging for a lot of people. What I would love for you to do is to put in the comments what your biggest fear is about AI. Leave me a comment below. What is your biggest fear? What's the thing that keeps you from going to chatgpt.com and playing with it? And there's going to be some videos coming out in the near future that helps you take the next steps. The other thing I would encourage you to do is to like and subscribe, excuse me, like and subscribe to this channel. And then if you have anybody that you know that's over 40 and is struggling with learning AI, share this video with them. It'll probably confirm some of their fears, but I hope that it encourages you enough to where you can do what you want to do, but you just have to start and take baby steps. I always say this: baby steps. There's a movie that came out a long time ago, and a guy was having some issues psychologically, and he was afraid of elevators. So he's like, baby steps to the elevator. And that's what you need to do: baby steps to ChatGPT, baby steps to Claude. Once you find one or two skills that you have inside of these AI tools, and then you put in a prompt where you have it create an image or create something that you just had kind of in your head, that you told, the AI bot, this is what I want to do, help me create it. And then the cool thing is when you put your prompt in, you can always say, ask me questions until you get a very clear idea of what I'm asking for. And it'll ask you those questions. You answer all the questions and see what it comes up with. And then you could start all over again and refine it or tweak it or do whatever you want to do with it. I think that's the best way to get your feet wet in AI. And the reason I think that is because that's exactly what I did. So like, subscribe, share this video with somebody who is over 40 who needs to hear it. And come find me at school. Check out the links below. If there's anything that I can do for you, please always leave a comment. And I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you in next week's video.